How hot will it get in Europe? Reported crop damage. Too hot in America, too wet. Same. How much crop damage? As prices for our food push forward coming into this, well, Super El Niño for the summertime. You're here for the heat, so I'll make it quick. Anomalies, Celsius, right over France, Portugal, Spain, showing you the hot spot there. Something like 13, 14 Celsius, which is about 23 degrees Fahrenheit over the normal. France, massive crop growing region. And as we stretch up into Germany, they're not immune either. Crops lost in both. It's not drought, it's instant heat stress. Those plants, they're probably not coming back. But before we continue on the heat, jumping over to the US, this is on the 21st of June. Cooler all through the Midwest grow belt, good for our agriculture. What's not good is the massive amount of rain set to drop until July 4th. This should run through the 20th of June all the way to July 4th, 5th, and you can see how much precipitation coming down. Inches wise, our version of the super intense colors is going to be that brown, also bringing you to 8 to 10 inches of rain, desperately needed over some of our crop growing areas. Prices starting to move back up again. And as we get to the final totals on the run through July 6th, again, it seems like it pegs out just around a foot of rain anywhere in the red, which is an enormous amount of the country, over 50%, going to see at least 2 to 3 inches, much needed again. Now, here's something that's you don't see every day. Top is where the corn for November delivery. Your next is on the bottom, that blue line, that is American corn for September 26th, Chicago Board of Trade delivery. Look at the divergence in the delivery by continent. They are anticipating such a damaging event in crop production for corn. It's just rare that you see this kind of split, or they call it a divergence between prices. And we found the same thing with gold and silver pricing independently in Asia compared to what's in London. Now we're starting to see this rift in our world where everything's going to be priced by continent because there's such an incredible mix-up in our normal patterns of the way we plant, harvest, the availability of fertilizers, the availability for us to procure any chemicals or herbicides, pesticides, fungicides. So each individual continent is now going to have its own production way different than what the last, say 50 years had given us in terms of averages. You take away 30% of your fertilizer in a single year, or 40% or 50%, and those numbers are no longer valid. So you're looking at it here that you're seeing Europe priced in something different than the American price. And we can start to expect this across all food commodities, all food crops across the world. So start to take a look for this. Once you see it happening more and more, then you know this is the new direction that all these commodities, all of our food is going to take. And it might be much more expensive for you to live in some continents than others. And do you have a plan in case that happens and you get priced out of your daily meals? Where do you go from then? Back over to other anomalies that are going to affect crop production across both continents, North America and Europe. Cold blob. Cold means wet. And the AMOC is weakening. How will this affect crop production too? Because everything that bends or breaks even for a small amount of time, with all the chemical and fertilizer disruptions along with this type of disruption, we are in something unusual for crops. Then we move from the cold, wet spot into drier than a bucket of sand. Severe Weather EU putting this one out here. Forecast calls for below normal rainfall. US and Europe both. As you can already see, plants need water. That's why it's so valuable that we get this rain in the coming 2 weeks. Far below normal. So anywhere you see those reds and those browns on both of these maps, tremendously less than is what the normal for the year. Unlike most olive oils on the market, Kasandrinos is single source, organic, cold pressed from family owned groves in Greece. Never blended, not mass produced, not sitting on shelves forever. And every single batch is lab tested for polyphenol content. Farm to table, from their orchards to your kitchen. as soon as they pick these olives, literally within hours. They cold press them so you get peak flavor and health benefits. 100% single origin, organic extra virgin olive oil. That's what you want. Which offers a unique blend of potent vitamins that support immune, bone, and heart health without capsules or fillers. And the Mediterranean diet, you've heard about this for centuries. And the benefits of long-term wellness. From the family-owned olive groves in Laconia, Greece, straight to your taste buds. We should be supporting this type of business, family businesses producing clean foods that can get it to you directly. This should be the new business model for the entire planet. You should know your farmers. We need to have local producers that produce clean foods for us. The corporate chain, this isn't doing it anymore. So please support families and businesses just like this. That link's in the description box below, and it's going to be some of the best olive oil you've ever had in your entire life. Head over to Kasandrinos.com/David to put your order in there, or you can just simply click on that link in the description box below. I keep picking back on this chart here. We're coming into a very, very intense El Nino. This drives crop prices as well. That's part of the reason that it's going to get drier in Europe. So if we look at the driest possible, October, November, December, January. So it looks like in our winter time here in the Northern Hemisphere, lucky, the crops have already been harvested late October into November, but that maturation period coming from, let's say, July, August, September is definitely going to be affected by this event. They call it a Super El Niño. And again, severe weather, you throwing this chart up here, 2-meter temperature anomaly, where it gets into the yellow and the oranges, warmer. Warmer means drier. And luckily, there is some balance in that. We're going to get a little cool down in, looks like Spain, Portugal, Northern Africa. But if you look way up toward Russia up there in the far right of the chart, then it matches pretty much with what we're seeing right now. June 21st, the scalding heat over France, which everybody's talking about. We got some Spanish heat, but then back in the Scandinavian countries into Russia, they're getting cool crop growing conditions, perfect for the plants. So see, some areas are going to have better production than others, and this is why we're going to see this disconnected pricing. Throwing you with the temperatures here, way down into Mecca, 40 Celsius. You're pushing over 100 Fahrenheit on these. Madrid, right near 100. Paris, just a little over 100 Fahrenheit. We're still in June. Should be August temperatures. These are about 2 months early for you here. That's why it's all the to-do. They'll get these temps, but later in the year, August-ish. But if we look at the amount of red across France and Spain, Perpignan, 37.4 in Bordeaux and Cognac. I wonder how the grapes are going to do. I don't think they're going to do too well being cooked by this heat. I think the vineyards through the areas are going to be a loss. And you can look at those first 5, 37, 36, 36, and then it drops into the 35s, which, you know, that's like a very hot summer Tennessee day in the middle of the dog days of summer, as they would say. Looking at 110 Fahrenheit for some of the max temperatures that were recorded at the same time. So a small divergence from the Celsius to the Fahrenheit temperatures, but you get the general idea. Mateo, France, putting that one out for us. And then we're looking at max temperatures. See, America's the only one that doesn't use Celsius for the temperatures. So to try to come back and forth from all this, got to be 101, could be 97. We need to get onto the Celsius system too. But some of the max temperatures are pushing 40 plus. I see a 44 reading. I don't know if it got that high because I didn't see any of those record temperatures set at 44 Celsius yet. The highest I saw was like 41-ish. But again, if we want to compare an apple to an apple, we need to go back to 1976. There's your temperature map above. Max temps. Madrid 36, 1976, Madrid 36, 2026 below. A little bit easier to see the colors, I guess, in the bottom map. And if we jump into Portugal, it did reach 40 degrees Celsius, 40.3, 40.1 in Alvega. But you can see Portugal pretty toasty along there. Good time to get into the waters along the Atlantic. Yeah, but there's lots of things that happen to gardens and also fields of crops when we get this type of heat. this early. Now plants, they can sort of gradually get into the heat like we can. By the end of the summer, you're pretty used to it. But if you've ever taken a holiday and it's really cold and snowy where you are and you fly to a tropical destination, as soon as you get off that airplane and it's 30 or 40 degrees Fahrenheit warmer than where you left. Ooh, you feel it. You really feel it. Take just a little hot for the day, you know. But as we start now, June, by the time August rolls around, if you've been out and you're doing some lawn work and, you know, just being outside more, you get gradually used to it. So what would have been super hot, that would have affected you greatly, like now, be the plant. Do you think that once they get damaged, that they're going to really recover through the season as it gets hotter after they've been damaged? They're expecting another heat wave next week. So we start to take a look at it now. They were stressed already because these plants didn't have enough fertilizer. They were growing at like suboptimal application. Many of you say, great, use the organics. Okay, that's to a limited extent, but normally there's chemical fertilizers on that. They got the sulfuric acid shortages, like NPK shortages everywhere. So these plants are not as healthy. It's like you going on an extreme diet. You might get sick because you don't have enough food. Plants are the same way. They're a living organism that needs energy to protect itself. So we'll see what happens. This is the first time that we've lost 30, say 40% of the fertilizer at the same time across the Northern Hemisphere in planting season. It never happened before. And at the same time, we're seeing all these incredible out of season anomalies happening, and the hail size, the winds, and then it all seems to be building up through in the start of this, what they call Super El Niño. So we'll see. Again, it's all about the prices of the food. How much is it going to cost you and me more to eat? And how do we protect ourselves against that? Hey, you know, having a garden, you would have had to put some sort of cover on and keep this really wet and spend time with your gardens at, you know, 100 plus degrees Fahrenheit. You need to take care of your gardens way more than if it's in the 70s and they're getting pleasant sunlight. Damage everywhere. Speaking of France, the palace guards, are they going to become robots in pretty garments? And that is the question. Halls of gold. France has seen a few famines during its centuries as a nation. I'm wondering what they're thinking right now if they were to look back through the archives. And because we're in Europe, I'm going to throw it at you, UK. Although you had your Brexit, here we go. Sainsbury going to ditch brown eggs, stock only white eggs. Net zero. And we're coming into a time when we can't even feed ourselves and y'all worried about the color of your eggs. I guess the priorities are going to have to change as we move into this, well, time. But please remember, you're going to need to know your farmers. It's the best direct route. Go get your food where they produce the food. You're going to have to know this segment of your community and then offer to help if you can. Because the more you help, they'll be happy to give you back some in terms of food for your labor. Always been like that. So I encourage you to check out your farmers through the weekend here. Also, trueleafmarket.com, heirloom and organic seeds for any grow zone on the planet. Summertime crops are here. What types of lettuce are you going to grow for your own salads? I appreciate you watching. Hope you got something out of the video. Please share with your friends and family. Chop this up, make it up as shorts, pass it around social media. We need to answer some of these questions, these greater issues that are at our doorstep here. And until next time, bye for now.